Hello, this is David, and I know we have Vic and John on the line. And first thing I'm going to say is to let you know that I have emailed each of you the dial-in information to be able to participate by voice. Right now we are hearing music because nobody has dialed in. So please go ahead and call and use that access code. And we'll kind of ease into the agenda. The first item of which is the meme development. First thing to say about that maybe is we're going to, on the advice of Katrina Shankland, whom Shannon and I just met with this afternoon, we're going to knock out the local control piece there.
I wasn't wild about that.
She noticed, and rightly so, that the implication of putting it that way is that there is sincerity and principle to other parts of the GOP local control agenda.
Well, and I'm also not a fan of saying your competitor up front.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't.
Which will be relevant as we talk about the number 4. But Shannon, please.
I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but the comment was about the way we phrased it. I think local control is still huge, but it's that we Democrats support local control because the Republicans have gutted that in the last 10 years.
No,
something like that.
Point taken. So the issue remains. Having it be one of the things that we try to get down to something quite so short and snappy, I think is where the problem comes. I mean, there can and probably should be other ways that we engage it, but the floor is yours. If you can think of another way to speak to it that's so short, in this kind of format.
I'm envisioning something, and we need to have some facts and figures other, obviously, but under GOP control, so many bills have been passed that limit local control, vote Democrat.
So then that would then encompass not just the environmental ones, but all of them.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with the sentiment, but if we go back to local control as it relates to levy, it was under the Democrats. Democrats took the Democratic majority under Jim Doyle took away local control as it relates to levy. So I think you have to be careful how you couch that as it relates to local control, because you don't want that to come back and bite you. Because that was a 2004-5 thing where they took that ability for local jurisdictions to actually control their...
I agree that we have to carefully put it, but at the same time, even saying that is overthinking it, perhaps.
Maybe. I'm always waiting for the worst to happen.
You're always waiting for the worst to happen, but
yeah.
I mean, this is again why they out-meme us all the time.
And maybe it is just...
we can spend all day responding to their memes, but their memes are what people remember.
We're being too esoteric, you're saying. Yes, I agree.
That music, is there anything we can do?
Yeah, I was just got a comment about the music and apologizing for it.
So I just want to talk
about... Don't they want to get on by voice?
Apparently not.
So I'm wondering, I just want to talk about the 2B one. Again, Democrats believe in protecting our water, not the polluters. I think it just is Democrats protect our water, not polluters. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep. That's better. Much better.
Thank you.
More succinct.
Yep.
Going once, going twice. And there's a comma in there, not polluters.
Yeah, or,
Going once, going twice. Anybody do better than that?
I want to
Okay.
talk about number one.
Please, now on the other.
Number 1B, voting for Democrats equals voting for the environment.
Uh-huh.
I think that's as good as saying voting for Democrats equals voting for feminism.
oh.
You don't like it?
No.
What do you?
All
do
in
you,
favor
do,
of
no.
feminism
Okay.
and the environment?
What,
Yeah.
Do you feel any better about the other?
Which other?
Vote for Democrats. The Wisconsin's environment depends on it.
It's funny, I don't know why. Let me think about that a minute, but I like it better.
You do like it better.
I do like Wisconsin's environment depends on it.
I think so.
Any improvements of that?
So it's the word environment, because vote for Democrats and what we talked about. I'm going all the way back to the beginning. Is voting
Big says the
for.
access code failed, you can't call
We talked about fishing
it.
and hunting and fish. Hunting and fishing. That's what we had talked about. Is we are the ones who are protecting the right to have access to public lands for hunting, having right to access to rivers, streams, and lakes for fishing, and then also for the idea of having clean water and unpolluted land. But the idea is how do we hook, sorry for the pun, some of those people, like there's one guy on the healthcare center committee with me. He has he's a conservative, but he's got a bumper sticker that says sportsman for wetlands.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of people that they're already sending out a message.
How about we all, capital all, depend on Wisconsin's natural resources? Vote Democrat.
I like that. Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
Getting us into trouble anyway.
So we all
depend on Wisconsin's natural resources. Vote Democrat.
Then we've backed away from the sense of it being under threat. Right?
Oh. Democrats protect our natural resources. Vote Democrat or something similar to that. So maybe, yeah, no. I like the idea of using natural resources.
natural resources. Vote Democratic.
Vote for Democrats? No.
Vote Democrat.
Vote Democrat, yeah.
We are the Democrats. Democratic is our whole government.
That's true, yeah.
And
Vote
nobody's
Democrat. Yeah, you're right. Unless you wanted to put Democratic Party in, that would be like way too much, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry I was tuned out there for a moment.
Thank you for removing the music.
My hesitation of shifting to we all depend was that it's a little bit of a step away from the directness. And so help me rewind the conversation back to the reluctance about the Wisconsin vote for Democrats. Wisconsin's environment depends on it. What was the ambivalence about that, please?
Voting for the environment gives a personhood to the word environment.
No, the equal sign that was gone.
Okay.
Right.
Whereas voting Wisconsin's environment depends on it.
Yeah. Depends on all of us to vote for the party that's going to be protective of it.
I have no problem with that, actually. I don't know why. I hate B and I like A.
Okay, no, I was totally convinced about the other one. Okay.
I do like the notion of natural resources, though, because it's sometimes environment has, like you say, with feminism,
replace
it has
environment with natural resources.
Or, I mean, to go really simple, hunt, ? Fish, ? Both Democrat.
Nothing stops us from doing 3. Hang on.
Yeah.
Wisconsin's natural resources.
I can see a little meme with someone standing in a fishing pole.
Yeah.
With his kid.
In a wetland.
In a wetland.
Okay.
That's getting. vote over.
Here's my question. Do we have, I mean, I suppose, maybe there's no harm trying. My sense is that that while we can count, from a salience perspective, while we can count on the general idea that there is an anti-environmental agenda, particularly as it relates to cozying up to polluters, that we can work with that awareness in the voting public. It is not as clear to me with this next idea that we're working with something that's registered with the public to the same degree in terms of how bad Republican policies
How about this
are
one?
towards sports people.
Okay, how about the next one then? Drink water, question mark, vote Democrat. With a picture of somebody holding a cup under their water with brown water coming out.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know, my concern here a little bit is that and it goes to what you were just saying. I think a little deeper though. We, as Democrats and environmentalists, automatically associate those two things.
Mm-hmm.
We're leaving out that message though when we use lines like what we've got. I'm not sure that when we say, vote Democrat, vote environment, if that's enough to drive the point home in the minds of the voters, that there's enough of a connection.
Not every, but the test here is not that it will resonate with every swing voter. The point is that it will resonate with enough.
We could even target it. I mean, somehow we could send the drink water one to the northeast part of the state, drink water, because they'll all know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to, just to see something like, Walker has deregulated CAFOs. Vote Democrat, vote clean water. Just something, and target that.
The advice, this does connect with the conversation we just had with Katrina, who said, be careful.
Yeah.
Who said, be careful. I think this medium, this way of engaging, which isn't to say that there might not be other ways to engage, directly at some of those local levels where they have the salience, but, this little project of ours is more broad gauge, to use a sports person's.
So what Katrina was saying is that water affects us all, but there are going to be Democrats that are running in areas that do not want to be unfriendly to CAFOs necessarily, because CAFOs are, considerable part of their constituency. So putting out a statewide message, just using your example, Katrina did not use this example, but on CAFOs is going to be enough to piss off some of our Democratic candidates.
The idea is to kind of coerce. So, and maybe there's two different, we have to think of our audiences. So maybe there's two different audiences. One is to reinforce those people who vote Democrat, to reinforce the reason they're Democrats or have voted with the Democrats historically and maybe have sat a few out. So that's one audience that we need to, that's the reinforcement. That's the pep talk. This is why you've always voted for it. Then the other audience is those people who are kind of on the fence, particularly now, and maybe even some that are leaning a little right, that we just need to sort of coerce. So those are two different messages for two different audiences, but both important.
I mean, I want to be careful with our young group of limited means. I want to be careful about any kind of embracing of, a mandate like that. We need to cover all our bases. I think my intention with this, this little piece of the effort was to think, boy, that's a format, that's a medium we could work with in a timely basis. And so it's sort of the reverse of what you were saying, Melissa, that as we do memes, we're just mindful of how they work and who they connect with. And the way that this does fit with some of our self-concept going back to the earliest days is part of our idea was that this is an effort that will make our party and our fellow activists all the more confident, like standing tall in this issue area. And so, as long as we can get behind, as long as we can stand behind whatever these are, as long as they are sufficiently pithy, as long as they don't raise problems, and we've had good things identified that are problematic, the equal sign thing and the local control thing.
Excuse me.
If these, as long as these connect with, like I was saying before, our sense of some awareness that is out there in public, I think that's all they need to do.
All right. I've just, while you've been talking, I've been listening with 75% of an ear, but I've been working on an entire campaign here.
So I've got a comment from John Becker, who says that there are far more environmentalists who don't vote than there are swing voters who can be convinced by an environmental message from front. And I would follow that up to, I hear what the party's saying. I understand this. We've got a lot of different candidates. We've got a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, I have to disagree with that. We have been losing for a long time because we have been the milquetoast party, because we have been the wishy-washy party. The Republicans have gone out and they have stated their case with uniformity and with strength, while we sat back and tried to be the big tent and be inclusive of everybody and not use language that would offend even 5%. I think
Not
that
to
it's
mention offending the Republicans. We wouldn't want to do that
exactly.
But
I think it's time to take it to the fight.
We're saying,
So-
but what are we not? Okay, please.
Can I
go ahead.
present my
Yep.
example advertising campaign is a series of memes all in the same format. Some question, vote Dem, and then a sentence explaining that in small print afterwards. So, drink water, vote Democrat. And this would have a picture of dirty water coming out of a faucet saying how many water things there are. Next one would be hunt fish, vote Democrat, with what we were just saying. Next one, this is rougher. Got asthma, vote Dem. And then, about how many air pollution regulations have been slashed. Next one, need broadband in rural areas, vote Dem. A little sentence about that. Next one, our water belongs to everyone, vote Dem. What do you think of the
You want
general
just
idea?
vote Dem or vote Democratic?
Democratic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vote. I thought we were going vote Democrat.
Yeah, vote Democrat.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Well,
Vote Democrat.
A lot of folks nationwide are going vote blue. Vote blue this year.
I don't think we want to do that.
No, I want them to know what
Very
party.
specific. When they get into the ballot box, they
Where's
wanna
blue?
Be,
Where's
Where's
blue?
blue? There's no blue. I can't vote.
You got to lead people very carefully.
Yeah.
But we live in a republic,
Yes, that's very
Not-
true.
Not a democracy. Yes.
so
Is this
Democratic.
I like it. Is this an either or could it be a both and? By which I mean, could we do that, with those series of questions, And also, does that militate against the other two? Democrats protect our water, not polluters. Vote for Democrats. Wisconsin natural resources depend on it. Could we do both and?
I think what Shannon's does is gets to the heart of, these are all kind of on the surface.
Mhm.
What she's done, apparently when she's tired, she does well, is get to the heart of each one of those. You said natural resources, it's kind of like, well, it's that, whoa, this brings it back into, do you drink water? Do you hunt fish? Do you breathe? To very specific personal things as it relates to the broader context of those things.
I also disagree with putting Democrats first.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
many people are just going to tune out, oh, this is another political ad. But to
yes.
pay attention, somebody asking me, hunt, fish, vote Democratic.
Drink water?
That
yeah,
would
I
make me
drink water.
think, and then I would read, and then I would read the comment after that that says,
So this
that would make me think.
relates to what I was saying before
Excuse me.
about talking, like feeling like we either have to connect with every type of voter that we can imagine, or a certain kind and not others, right? So I wouldn't disagree with you that
This also then re-engages environmentalists too.
I don't disagree that the others, which do have Dems up front, are not going to appeal to everyone.
I wouldn't forward them. I wouldn't share them because of that.
No, I probably wouldn't either because I have
Right.
a mix of
Right.
Facebook friends, and
But
I would
something
want
that-
them to look at it.
Something that really,
Yeah,
whoa, got asthma, vote Dem.
yeah.
That's gonna that grabs
They
my
wouldn't be
attention.
I would do that because the minute I forward or repost something that starts out with the Democratic Party, I know I've tuned out about a third of my Facebook friends.
Right.
They're not going to look at it. But I do have of that third, most of them consider themselves environmental,
Right.
environmentalists. So
Okay, so we can develop those.
Just a quick
Yeah.
note, John suggests changing hunt and fish into Wisconsin's outstanding public lands. You enjoy Wisconsin's outstanding public lands.
yeah, I like that. They're very nice visual.
You can do both, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you could do both.
How about like our parks? Question mark. Vote Dem.
We going to be able to back up, that.
Well, we could, for that example, we could say, the parks budget has declined,
I was
and
gonna
I'm
say,
certain it
Yeah.
has by
They
this
just
much over
sliced
the
them.
last 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
talked
okay.
about privatizing the parks, for
Yeah.
God's sake.
All right.
Yep,
Like our parks, vote
Yeah.
Democrat.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd kind of like to think that everybody can use our parks.
yeah, and allow mining,
Yes, that's right.
at least in Minnesota and the
Okay.
boundary waters, the feds want to open that up now for mining.
And I think that mining is something that we should approach from the side. After my conversation with Katrina, it's something we should say our water belongs to everyone. That relates to mining, like our parks.
It also relates
because
to the
there are
CAFO,
people-
because one of the biggest issues with
Yeah.
CAFO
Right,
is
okay,
its groundwater.
but here's what we are going to be careful about, because these are memes. They're going to be text light. We have had warnings about how issues can trip us up. So, while we can, reference some of these different forms in which the threats have taken, I think we're going to have to just kind of go through them and just like list them and list, and handle with some care.
Or we just go, why are we putting, I understand what you're trying to say, David, but it gets back to, we've just been too nice. We want everything to be too logical and everything too supported, and then we go, crap.
We could dither about this for the next 2 months about
Right.
whether all of
I
these are
understand,
supported,
but,
and
but tell
they'll
me
be
how-
attacking us.
Tell me how you're
Who
going to make
cares?
the anti-CAFO argument in the small print on a meme.
No, I'm not
Ah.
saying do that. I'm saying what Shannon has put together along with John. I'm really bad with names. John said about the public lands to add into that is just to go for it. Those are things that are direct. They hit at the heart. Everybody, including environmentalists, like I said, my Republican friends, I would feel okay putting these on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, because I know they'd look at them because they hunt, they fish, they enjoy the public lands, they enjoy the parks. I know a couple of them. Their kids have asthma.
The fact that it's a series also,
Yeah.
is a really strong argument for them. And we have talked about the need to get onto Instagram, particularly when Dan reminds us of the mass flight away from Facebook and how they're hemorrhaging eyeballs.
Are they? I don't know. Still
Yep.
on it.
Yep, I am too.
Yeah.
We're not leaving.
It's
We're not
older people
shutting
that are on
down.
Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'm
And
just
older
saying.
people that vote.
It's yeah.
Mhm.
Well, but we also have to engage the.
Yeah.
Younger
and
voters.
Yeah, we have to use that
So we
medium
can
to
do, we
attract.
can do this everywhere.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once it's created, it can go.
It's better than that. This fits Instagram. Instagram is an image medium.
I have to remember
Well,
my password then to
and
Instagram.
Republicans are gonna say no, wait. But with a meme, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's out there, it's
Yeah.
shareable, it's
Yes.
shared.
Yeah.
And we hit. It's just
Nobody.
we're kind of worried about being nice and
We don't have to
having
respond to
supporting-
any
yeah,
criticism about
supporting
that.
documents.
None of
and-
these.
Yeah.
Do we have to go and say, oh, actually, sorry, if you drink water, you don't necessarily have to vote
And I
Democrat.
think when you're
No.
okay, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, so you post one of the memes, and I can see Chris Miller, one of my Facebook friends, I posted on parks, for instance. She will come back and she'll have some blah 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 blah. She's a Republican, and I can say yes, but Chris, do you believe our parks should be privatized? Because I know you and your husband camp at. So you can see
It's better than that. It's better than that. If they're explaining, they're losing. That's the rule of politics.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So. But
And I think with our little, we are allowed with a meme, I think, to put a little statement in support on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I think that would,
Yes.
that makes her case.
No,
That little bit of-
let's develop these, right away.
Mhm.
Because the whole idea was that this is a project that could be it's hard to try to do things in the short time we have, but this is possible. So we'll follow up immediately with just this sort of set of ideas. And then obviously what we need to develop is the fine print, right? Obviously that whole idea is then there's like a sentence at the bottom, right? That kind of elucidates it a little bit more. So let's do that, and then the follow-up step after that, once we have done that, then is to find whoever we're going to work with to add, right? So we do the text, and then somebody has to help us with the image. Our first stop, and they had a heads up from me many weeks, if not a couple months, is the DPW itself. Did you want to jump in?
No.
Okay. And we have a couple of Plan B options. One, a contact that Melissa has of a small PR firm, marketing firm in Wausau. I have connected with the principal of that somewhere along the line. Shannon, one of the county parties, Barron County Party, has caught her eye as being good at this. That's another direction. But we'll give the DPW staff let's say about a week to see if they, really are going to work with us because we want to get this done.
Do we have any?
Oh, sorry, and the floor is open. Anybody who knows PR/advertising professionals who, we might potentially go to in your own networks to seek a pro bono in kind on this, please let us know.
John, along this line, points out that we probably need to run all means past the League of Conservation Voters and Gathering Waters, etc. I'll put in there because as much of half of the vote is going to be cast within the next 20 days with early voting in the state.
Mm-hmm.
So time is of the essence. And he suggests that we limit our scope a little bit, develop 3, perhaps 2 reserve.
Right, that is an important point. The idea of a series does, I think, point towards more than 2 or 3. But
I've got
I think,
5.
But I think we can let's stick within 4 or 5 max, yeah. Let's do that.
So
rather than expanding beyond that. Yep.
If we're going the route of professionals, though, time frame is, I think, very tight. I have never seen.
It needs to be out next week.
Yeah, it needs to go out last week.
Do we have any young? I mean, do we have any young people that? I mean, someone's got to know how to do this.
I do stuff a lot for groups. I'll throw a couple of things together, but like I said, this I think we're working with a very tough timeline here, and
I agree. I'm looking at the same thing.
That's why I like the pithy nature of this. It's pretty darn doable to come up with a sentence on each of these things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And a photograph.
I think the concern is not at our end.
Right.
The concern is turnaround once we are working with someone.
Yeah.
And the people we have to run it by.
Well,
I have production capability for stuff like that. I mean, I'm not Mr. Creative.
I don't know how much running by we need to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
really, this feels like us, and I'm careful when I say that.
You've got stock photos.
I have access to a large royalty-free photo library.
Okay.
I've got big end image manipulation stuff.
yeah,
I mean,
and
you'd be
that's the big
comfortable.
thing is that image manipulation. I think. Yeah.
Now, like I said, I am not creative personnel. I'm technical, so don't expect.
Well, how about this?
Don't need to be pretty. It just needs to be done.
Well, the pretty's good too. We'll see. Yeah. Let me. I'll put some sort of demonstration thing together in the next couple of days.
Okay.
And get it out to you guys.
Okay.
And we can start with that as sort of. I'll just make some sort of like little silly template type of thing that we can work from.
I'll noodle with it,
do you want to reach out to Morty right away?
I'll ask him.
See what his openness.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. He's working on a project for me that I need him to complete. So
I think the hardest part is going to be coming up with the supporting sentence.
That's all right. I'm down for that.
Okay.
short and sweet has to be short and sweet.
I get it. I'll try first cut at it right away.
$1 words, not $10 words.
Just why do people? I know.
Okay.
6th grade.
Yes.
Or
as my kids would say, Mom, don't make it too complicated.
I'm 57 years old. I am aware of how I come across. I'm aware of the baggage of all the expenses of education I have.
Yes, it's that Ivy League.
I'm not unaware of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I say that once and then have people believe me? Okay.
Well, David,
I'll believe
I don't know.
when I see the product. When I see the product, David.
I've known you now for about almost 3.5 years, and God darn it.
All right. Thank you for all of that. Great work.
Trump
Item 2. Item 2.
Nice.
Item 2. So we have maybe I don't know how much there is to say about this, and that is the liaison with campaigns. We said that we would, right? We said that it fits with who we are and what we want to do. That we would do check-ins with as many candidates and campaigns as we can, see, how they're viewing the issues, see how they're playing in the races, see how they're being used in the races. And we have started to do that. We spoke with Senator Bewley, right, the other day, and her aide. From her came the strong point about how heavy the local control dimension comes into this. I heard something similar from, I'm reminding myself of the name here, Aaron Madison, Matteson, in the 22nd District, who has had some success with local issues, very local issues, and how they actually do have appeal to many of his Republican neighbors. And just this evening, heard from candidate Rebecca Clark over in eastern Wisconsin. Sorry, I don't know the assembly district number. What we're hearing at the doors we knock is managing the deer herd, the CWD, clean water and clean air. And she and I have not connected to have a conversation, but will. And then we met with Katrina, who herself is talking to a lot of other candidates. Please, Shannon.
Total tangent I have here.
Yes.
I apologize, but it might be relevant to this. Have you guys heard the Foxconn connection to Marathon County?
Yes. Only because I work there.
Oh, about ginseng.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
really changes.
It's
the
classic.
Oh yeah.
In Marathon
Oh,
County.
that was very strategic.
They're paying
yeah.
rents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When I heard about it, I thought of all of the defense subcontractors and for the large contracts and how they're spread, across every congressional
every
district,
state,
right?
every congressional district. Yeah, that's what they're doing here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because a friend of mine said, control Marathon County and keep the southeast, and you get to pick the governor.
Right. So all of which to
Neither here nor
say,
there, but it affects the races, the local races.
Definitely.
And that's the way I'm involved. There are 3 assembly districts in Marathon County. Most people don't know that. Most people think there are 2, but there are
Big
not.
county.
Right.
There are 3.
And lest we forget, our friend who sat with us here, for many of our meetings, Wisconsin Rapids based, Dave Gorski, has from the get-go been running on these issues, and our communication interchange with him has been continuous. Maybe the only thing that needs to be said just briefly is we should keep doing that. I'm looking around the room. Anybody else who similarly just wants to reach out in the direction of a campaign or candidate.
I'm working with the 3. I can reach out to the 2 that are not my district, and I'm working with the 3rd that is my district in Marathon County.
We're introducing ourselves, obviously, as
Not
part
Ashley,
of this, and just listening, and like
Allison?
I said. Yeah.
Allison and
What were you
Nancy.
going to say?
Oh, and
Well, you say
Mark Martello is the one who's in my district.
also we're nonpartisan in Sun Prairie, but our city council and mayor are very, very progressive. And I've had a couple of conversations with them over the last couple of weeks about this very issue of local control and how the city just can't do anything.
No.
I mean, it's like what I actually made a post about this on the message board as well, following up on those discussions.
And I'm going to use that as a segue to, so we meanwhile have had outreach from Wood Juno Adams and the nitrates fights that they've been fighting.
Right, that's related to the K farms.
Right,
Yeah.
and so, excuse me.
It's also the nitrate issue is because of the agricultural runoff
Yeah.
in
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 Pe-
Adams and
into
South
Peterbilt.
Wood County.
And so,
Hey, Ned.
and so, um, that's an attempt, not an attempt, a request for like moral support, and I think at a good peer-to-peer level, as that gears up, I think drawing on our, I think of you as Marathon County in some ways, but anyway,
Well, I am.
right, but also just county board, right? Since it's taking place at county board level, you and Katie, maybe kind of we can connect,
Yeah.
maybe Shannon as well. And then the other thing that came to us, Shannon and I particularly have been focused on this, was Senator Bruce Coles,
That's
thank
Rob.
you.
Rob Coles.
Rob Coles, thank you, from Green Bay.
Yes.
Um,
Republican, but very pro-environment.
and
Theoretically.
we got
not bad.
a column
Could be worse.
where he's saying how all the great things Republicans have done, and that was topic one in our conversation with Katrina. And what we decided after really talking about this extensively was actually not to rebut him, not to respond directly, but instead
This is our response.
to be
Yeah.
yes and no. I still want to, right? I mean, in keeping with the thought that we're going to work in different mediums, different formats. This is less time sensitive because there's not production issues in the timeline, right? But the idea was, when we talked about kind of the key points, was to just state our case, which does relate to a lot of the things that we've been, especially polluters, and how the agenda's been tilted towards them, protecting polluters instead of protecting us from pollution.
And what's the audience for that?
Right?
But she's asking, what is the audience for that?
Should be everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who's gonna read that and be moved by it?
Yeah.
I want to hang on to. We've got something going for us here. Like, we're also, remember that confidence idea? It's actually, like, I think in our like key lines in our preamble of our Constitution, right?
To boost the confidence of people who want to be able to speak out on behalf of the environment.
When I use the $10 word salience, sorry, here's what it means, and I'm serious about this. It means that the ground has been prepared for us. Let us not think we are fighting an uphill battle. There is some level of awareness. I can't say exactly which voters, but we do have out there, people are not blind to what is going on with how Republican lawmakers and policymakers have been shilling for industry.
Right.
And so my answer to what is the audience is about this salience thing. It's about how we have an opportunity to resonate with people who are aware of the problem, and we sum it up for them. And just, the audience is people who are, just need a nudge to either change their vote as independents or soft Republicans, or get out to vote with that extra motivation.
Excuse me.
And I think that's a long way of saying there's the danger of overthinking the audience question. Sorry.
I think that if I could start advocating for that position, I would say that this is two-pronged. On one hand, we want to appeal to the voter, and on the other hand, we want to help candidates appeal to the voter. Those are two very different things.
Right,
This thing here that I put together is appealing directly to the voter.
correct.
What you're talking about perhaps is becoming a resource to candidates,
Yeah, giving them the extra.
giving them the extra help that they
Help,
need
support,
to
strength.
to learn about the issues and to find how to defend the issues.
That sounds like a segue actually more to messaging library, which I want to loop back to, because I just want to kind of go engage with you on this, because as a practical matter, we left our previous discussion saying we'll draw up this really strong bill of indictment. We have a sense of what's the strongest, clearest way to get it across, and we'll just sign it as leaders of this caucus and place it in as many as many local newspapers around the state as we can. That's the last thing that we said, which is a more direct. So if I was to say, explain to me what you mean about helping campaigns.
I would say a rebuttal to Senator Cole's letter, not a rebuttal, but some talking points, longer talking points than we're talking about here, for the candidates to reply to these issues.
Right.
For me, frankly, all that matters is November. I mean, after November, we can figure out and retool what we want to do, et cetera, et cetera. That's all. There's two people I want to reach. It's the voter and it's the candidate that are trying to reach the voter.
So how do we provide support to the candidate when someone says, well, Senator Cole's friend of the environment said that the Republicans are doing that, candidate A over wherever can say, well, that may be his perspective, but here are the facts.
Yeah.
I mean, what I took from the conversation with Katrina was that the candidates know how to do it already, to an extent.
She did make a couple of points that it could be interpreted.
Some of them are better at it than others. But.
Yes.
And which leads me to yes, time is short. Like, how much of this can we do? The idea of how getting involved with the messaging library seems to me closer to what you're talking about, which is so the message library just takes the environment as a huge category and hits the high points.
It hits 3 points on this much paper.
Yep. That's it.
And what we would do.
CWD, mining.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We would take.
Doesn't touch water.
In a similar. No, but I think what we would do. And I think this is a bigger project. Like if we're talking.
So too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say.
But we have to figure out what we can get done now and have the biggest bang for the proverbial buck.
Let's table.
And there is no bucks because everybody's volunteering.
Let's table this. Let's focus for the immediate on the series of memes and on a so the memes are the 100-word version or 50-word version, and we'll do the 500-word version for the newspapers. And
we're talking like 20 words.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, since they are going to have small print, might be more than 20, but not much.
For
the memes.
For
the memes, 20 words.
Yeah, I think so.
I was going to say 10, but
including the ones that are in the questions.
Yeah.
The bottom is supposed to be supporting. We'll see.
Yeah.
I promise not to be long-winded. I promise.
Love you, David.
but the point that was just made is a good one.
Yeah.
It may be right that it would be a good thing to do, to build out a message library with more issues, sub-issues. But you know what? We have these other two things that we know go out directly to people. And so let's do those and revisit this idea if we still have time.
I would say the memes are a great focus because I think we can get it done, particularly if we get technical people to assist us with the creation of the meme and the dialogue. It gets to, let's get it out to the people. I would say if we have a candidate who reaches out and says,
of course,
wow, I need something,
of course.
we can, really take action and do that. But this should have been 6 months ago, and it's now, so let's focus.
And the nitrates fight is the single example so
Yeah,
far of
yeah.
seeking help.
Yeah,
So
But of course, we would be responsive and open to anyone seeking help.
Yeah.
Yes.
we've got 30 minutes left of this meeting. Do we want to focus on each of these things and develop what picture should go with it and what's the sentence? Assign a person to
Right.
develop a fact or
That's tough to do, I think, in this kind of setting.
okay.
But I'll bet you we could come up with the 5 top questions.
yeah. I think as far as images, we could probably come up with a general
Idea of what
framework.
we're looking for.
Yeah.
And
So drink water, vote Democrat, dirty glass of water out of a faucet.
Yes.
Well,
And then we would talk about
maybe not.
I don't think that discussion of the images maybe is the best use of the half
have
hour.
a discussion of
The question
and with the factoid that follows it.
we can start to, sure, but let's
Okay, so
do the questions. Drink water, number 1.
the ones I have on the table are drink water, number 1. Number 2, hunt fish. Number 3, our water belongs to everyone. Number 4, got asthma.
Water doesn't belongs to everyone. Is not fitting the right.
And the last one, like our parks. That's the 5 that I.
Oh, enjoy our parks. Is that even better?
I have enjoy.
yeah,
That would work
like
better.
enjoy.
Hunter
Yeah.
fish. Have asthma.
I had enjoy public lands, but
I still like that.
because not all
Let's do both.
Not all public lands are
the
parks.
right.
Yeah.
I agree. I do like that.
Is it going to hit? Not all. Think about the population of Milwaukee. How often do they care about public lands?
It's okay. That's okay. They've got.
But
the
they
other.
do. I mean, they do get to
Parks.
Parks are
Parks.
public lands.
and
Yeah.
breathing and drinking.
That's why I used the word park.
That's 5.
Yeah.
Drink water, hunt or fish, enjoy our parks, have asthma, enjoy public lands.
Yeah. I mean, unless we're
Is any missing?
Our water belongs to everyone. Doesn't quite fit the.
no. That's
I mean,
more
that's the
about,
point about sticking
yeah.
with the format is to stay with it.
Yeah. I think getting to the heart of water pollution is probably more important because people are, whether you're in Kewaunee County or Adams County or Juneau County or Ashland County, there are concerns about drinking water. So,
Yes, that's
Yeah.
I made a slight effort on the local control issue. I don't know that it sells really well, but like local control of regulations.
Sounds abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't work as well.
We've got to figure out how to attack that one because it is critically important.
Yeah.
Because I just heard, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday or was it today on NPR? And of course, this is federal. The telecoms are trying to get a bill passed that would strip the ability of local government to assess a fee for pole use for telecoms, or limit the amount of money that local governments can charge for that. Yeah.
How about so? Can we have a standard? Can the small print, can the supporting sentence, let's call it the supporting sentence, can each supporting sentence start in the same way, with some sort of reference to
Each of them.
what Republican
Republicans.
policymakers are doing / have done? Can we come up with a standard lead in to the sentence?
Just I'll just
Yeah.
to say what we're trying to do here, I think we're trying to force a creative process.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Right.
that's never
Okay.
a good
No, it's
idea.
never
Right.
good.
Yeah, let creative people get a hold of this and create. If you try to tell somebody how to create something like we're trying to do here, it just never works.
I mean, I totally agree on the visual side.
Well,
Which
I
is
think I mean, setting a message that you want,
Yeah.
okay, and explaining why you want that message and why it's important.
Right.
Great. But sitting down and trying to say, okay, here's the sentence we want, marry a picture to it, and okay, that I think you start getting into trouble.
You're assuming that we have somebody else looking at this for us.
Well, I think we're going to have to.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to snag that.
I mean, on the text side, I don't know if there is anyone else. I've been assuming that
I would love for Katrina to.
that
have
it
that.
that it stays, that it gets brought to whoever will help kind of take it to you putting how it looks, that we will bring camera-ready copy in a way, right?
Yeah, it's just my experience in doing stuff like this is that the way that the easiest and I think the most forceful way, the most powerful way to end up with a good message is that you get an idea like we've developed here, water, parks, etc., and then sit down in front of the image libraries and you just start scanning them and you just start looking.
That's
and
fine. But we're part of the format idea was, so the first line is the question, the second line is vote for Democrats.
Yeah.
And then there's a sentence, it's smaller print that kind of is supporting. It's a supporting sentence.
Absolutely.
Who's going to do? Who's going? Yeah. Who's
leave
going
it
to do
at
that? Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
What the question I was asking was, can we start that one supporting sentence in the same way in each of those?
And that's what I'm saying. No. Okay. Because all of those messages, all of that
the evidence
text
will be different in. Okay.
All of that text is going to be tied to that visual image. That's
No,
what I'm saying.
But it's not.
But it has to be, David, or else it's not me.
It is. No. Seriously, it is the reverse. It is the reverse.
They have to work together.
The image is much less important if we even have an image than the text.
No, it's not that it's less important. No, it's not that it's less important. No, it's not that it's less important. It's that it will get chosen to go with. The sentence is rooted in is the threat posed by what's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to imagine that the creative person. I mean, that's the one we're going to be careful not to keep it from being wonkish, but it is the fact, right? It is the most wonkish piece.
A lot of facts we could use. We
I
got to pick one.
Okay, I understand what you're saying in this. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that when you're trying to develop the messaging here, right? Okay, we know from decades of experience that humans are visual creatures, and that the first thing they look at is the image.
Right.
And so whatever the words are, the image has to be compelling first. And then the words and the image have to be mated to each other so that they are perfectly combined. In fact, one of the things that I will point out real quickly here is about this dirty glass, this glass of dirty water. Okay, this is probably exactly the opposite of what you want, because you're trying to marry a positive message of vote Democratic, but you're sticking it to a negative image.
Right.
Okay, and this is what I'm saying about this creative process. You can't do this in isolation where you throw out here. Okay, here's the lines we want. Go find a picture. These have to be developed at the same time in the same place on one computer screen, or else you don't end up with something that's effective.
Right.
So maybe something like that, and I agree, you're absolutely right. I can hear Gerald in my ear, and he's my PR guy. you're right, you want the image to be connected in a positive way with Democrats because our name is right there.
Yep.
The sentence at the bottom, let's say water, and do we want to laden it with facts, or do we want to say something like Republican policy has limited local municipalities their ability to something like that, or do we want something like four out of eight, or half of the water in some counties is undrinkable at the tap?
That's good.
That's
Yeah, you got to hit hard with that.
yeah.
It's
And
got
we
to be
don't
just
have to
as hard
support
hitting.
this with a huge amount of
Right.
data.
It's just, you know,
No.
yeah.
Okay.
Republicans
Okay.
have
not a research
rolled back
project.
clean water standards
Years.
for years. Vote for clean water, vote Democratic.
Yeah.
Those are the very simple things. We don't have to have
But
statutes in there.
it is a fact in Portage County, in parts of Portage County, most of the tap water cannot be, well water is in excess of the clean water drinking standards for nitrates.
I think we should have those kind of
Yeah.
specifics.
And that's right, we start with Republican policies have decimated ability to protect our waters. And then something, I don't know how the words are gonna be, in some parts of Wisconsin, people can't drink their water.
Yeah.
It's not safe for their children to drink.
See, but like I say, we need to have all of that married together in one
Yes.
place at one time.
And that comes out when someone's pounding out the,
Exactly.
So what's our process?
Let me, like I said, let me take a day. Let me have 24 to 36 hours to throw together some sort of template, something that looks like what I think we're talking about. Okay, and I will send it out to you guys, and you guys can say, okay, let's run down that avenue or not that avenue, and then we can start that process, and I can start pulling images and. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like the parks, it's the family sitting around a picnic table at the park or whatever. I mean, you want the positive images associated with the Democrats. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So if he's going to do that, that means that he's getting that ball rolling. That means that we simultaneously get the 500 words rolling, which I will do.
500 words in response to Senator Cole?
Sort of in response, right?
Okay, but not in response. I understand what you're saying.
It's our indictment. It's our hard-hitting indictment in longer form.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the refrigerator door supposed to be open?
I think so.
Yeah, because that's the refrigerator.
I think that one is not operational or something. Unplugged.
Okay, it's unplugged.
Good.
Yep.
Just checking.
Okay. Excellent.
We just had a PR person.
That leaves me with one item. And if we think back in the conversation to all we can see sitting here on September 24th is the November election. That.
26.
26? I'm sorry.
Do I hear 27?
All right.
In other words, time's flying.
Time is
It's
flying.
flying apparently even faster than I realized.
Yes.
40 days to go.
One requirement of new caucuses, and I think this is probably a healthy discipline, but it is an issue for another time, and I'm just kind of putting it onto our screen, is that we're supposed to develop a strategic plan. Now, I think we've done great at being clear about really some important strategic objectives and guidelines to work with, and I'm so proud of us for doing so. But a strategic plan is about how we're going to grow and what we're going to evolve into.
Setting goals.
And all that, more operational, like when we talk about how we've been building on this strength in this part of the state and we want to, extend to other parts of the state, that will be the plan where we get serious about talking about how that's going to work. And it also will need to take stock of built what we've built in this moment of pure opposition party. If there's the kind of success that we hope for in the November elections, that will change the balance of power, and we will need to adjust in our concept of what we're going to do accordingly. So that's coming. That's coming in the months ahead.
I love strategic planning. I
Any
do.
anyone else? Anything? Other items?
I'm ready to get home.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Did they
Thank
say
you
that?
very much.
Thank you, Dick and John. Thank you.